All right. Peace and blessings. Safo, the Success Scholar, the Honorable One, Aki Shakur, me here. Thank you all for tuning in, listening. Man, haven't done a video in actually since Monday. It's just Wednesday. But I want to address something I just heard, and let me just make it plain that for the most part, when you tune into the Success Scholar to my channel, you are getting the most well-advanced, connected, and informed, empowered information out here. So whether or not any of the Hotep hustlers or any of the so-called radio host or the boule or anybody else you think is the thought controllers of the black world, regardless of whatever else anyone has to say, I know that I've put in the relevant work at this time, and what is needed is for intelligent, progressive, holistic, forward-thinking individuals to get behind the most relevant practical movement of this time. That's the Success Scholar movement. So, with that being said, Mr. Keidi Awadu, who generally is a pretty intelligent guy, but I'm assuming that he's beginning to. He may be thinking that perhaps that he wrote 31 books, or authored or edited 31 books, makes him like more valuable than someone who may not have authored or plagiarized or copied and pasted 31 books or more. You got some so-called teachers running around talking about how they wrote 400 books. Really? I mean, that's very juvenile. Any child can copy and paste something together and throw it out for ignorant black people and say, look, a book. And you got ignorant black people who don't know anything, that want to know something, that will say, oh, sure, I'll just buy, I'll buy it. It could be the most plagiarized, unedited, flip-flopping all around the universe, Hebrew, Kemet, Native, Indigenous American. It could be flip-flopping, all kind of, hocus pocus type of knowledge thrown out. But if you say you publish 100 books or 50 books, you're supposed to have more value. But let me just make it plain that there are, for real, some individuals, they got other talents, skills, and abilities, and they just not trying to hustle books, right? They created products, right? They created services. And yes, reading is a key functionality within this society. But let me get to my point and the title of this piece. Damn it, it's raining. Shoot. Keidi Awadu, who generally is well-read, I gather, but he just did a little slight job on Dr. Claude. Yeah. He just did a little slight job on Dr. Claude. expressing that Dr. Claud is not a Pan-Africanist. Well, he didn't say Dr. Claud is not a Pan-Africanist. What he said was that, let me clarify, because someone, a caller on a radio show, suggested that him and Dr. Claud Anderson are two people that individuals should be listening to. And he quickly attempted to distance himself or clarify by saying, well, let me clarify that I am a Pan-Africanist. You know, as if Dr. Claud Anderson doesn't deal with Africa or African people. No, if you read the book, Keidi, and I'm sure you would, you have, Dr. Claud Anderson talks about the three out of the four things that African Americans actually have here. You know, education, capital, I think he talks about technologies, network. He talks about 3 out of 4 of the things that black people here have. Now, that's not to suggest that individuals, because Africa has a significant amount of billionaires, and I'm trying to find out how many. I'm hearing 5, but then I heard something, you know, about more, unless they're including some of the more Arabian, Egyptian type of billionaires on the continent of Africa. So I gotta get clarity on what they are considering to be African billionaires. So and I just thought that it was, you know, not called for, you know, to you know, try to distance yourself or to try to clarify, to make it appear somehow that you have some unique, dominant level of awareness that Dr. Claud Anderson may not have. And this is, you know, now, and let me just share, you know, how, you know, why my message is valuable, and how I could just spit something, you know, from just my studies to disrupt, you know, these individuals that throw out you know, bogus science. Now, Keidi refers to himself as a scientist, so he used the term, and he's good with superfoods, and we all should listen to him. And, you know, now I'm to the point that, you know, some people who may not know me, some people may not know the depth of how I, you know, my evolution and my progress, but he said you can grow 10 times more intelligent. You can enhance your IQ by 10 times more by using these superfoods. Sound like a damn infomercial. And my thing is, yeah, and I do, you know, strive to do various levels of healthy things, and I have this NutriBurst that I have. But why are we talking about a European science called IQ and a relationship between food and IQ? You know, and let me just clarify, and I don't need to get down deep in terms of emotional intelligence. You know, I don't talk a whole lot about it, but there are several books out here that actually deal with that. That actually, I went to an education conference. Well, I didn't go to the whole conference. I kind of slid up in there. It was at the Gaylord, and some of the more prominent, you know, Caucasian educators on the planet were there. These people with super doctorate degrees and everything, and they they were talking about education. And there's a whole section on emotional intelligence. Now, there's dozens of books out there. So, I mean, and I'm just like, how are you going to come before our people and try to pretend as if my IQ is better, which means that I'm going to have the best outcome. I'm going to have the best outcome in every scenario. So listen to me versus listen to someone that didn't have this super, right? So this is what attracts some of the more, health nut spooky people. Because again, now let me just go back into my understandings of just the role of health and wellness, and it certainly is a key point, a key part to our existence, and I wouldn't want to minimize that. I wouldn't want to minimize certainly the spending that individuals spend due to illness, as well as what people spend on meat and other garbage food, cigarettes, smoke, liquor, and all kind of insane things that do not add wealth and life and longevity to us as a people, as a community. But I certainly, in the bigger scheme of understanding these different dynamics of wealth and health, it's a thin line. There's a thin line between being efficient and effective to plant seeds into people's mind, so that people will have these options. And right now, Keidi, he has not necessarily invested the time as well as his own money to reach our people like that. So if you and to go and build with Dr. Claud Anderson, I know he had him on, a few times on his discussions, and that's when I was on Harambe Radio for 4 years, which I practically built. And due to some of these provocateurs, they don't want to give me, the level of credit that I had with building one of the early online internet stations that I did for 4 years. Ungrateful Negroes. But I think Keidi, if you're so super smart, and you don't want people or don't want to be compared to Dr. Claud Anderson, someone that went into Detroit with a plan, with a strategy, with strategy to create seafood industries and hydroponic gardening, right? I went to Detroit. Keidi was nowhere to be found. Didn't see him. Klingman was there. Bob Law was there. I think Amafika was there. I don't know if John Ray was there, but several people came to the Bring Back the Black rally that was held in Detroit for the African town. I think there were, in fact, it probably was like 2,000 people there. It was something crazy. And I came there, I had a few books, and one brother, can't remember his name, but he does a major conference up there. I had a few books out. This brother, and I'm still a hustle man, but I had a few books, had pulled up a table, and he was like, give me that, and that. Pulled out $100 bill, just dropped it. Keep the change, bro. I was like, wow, yeah. So, but, yeah, so, and then when Dr. Claude had the seafood facility, manufacturing. I'm sorry, not manufacturing, but a farm in Harlock, Maryland. Who was there for the opening house? Myself. I was with my ex-girlfriend, Baba Amafika. He came. Keidi Awadu, nowhere to be found. So I'm saying, you know, and you know, some of these folks here, they want to write me out of history. You know, these folks on these different radio programs, but now it's like I got a plan for them now. I'm like, I got a plan for them now. I'm like, oh no, you ain't gonna box me in like that. You are not gonna box me in like that. So, you know, I just say you don't have to put somebody else down or attempt to discredit. And I'll just give you this example of the class. How some people, you know, don't have to disrespect others in order to exalt themselves, right? I was just listening to an interview, and I'm going to have Dr. Dennis Kimbrough on this coming Monday. I'll be interviewing him. That's right. If you don't know, you better ask somebody. He wrote the book Think and Grow Rich, as well as the Black Millionaires book. He wrote that. Dr. Kimbrough, he was on another blog talk show that I was listening to. And the guy, I might have been Brother Hashim, he was asking, they mentioned Dr. Claud Anderson, right? And they mentioned, yeah, you and Dr. Claud Anderson should do a book together. And Kimbrough already has 5 books. I mean, you know, like he teaches at Clark Atlanta University, right? I mean, he doesn't necessarily, I mean, I ain't gonna say he doesn't need, but you know, he does what he do. You know, he's done a tremendous job. However people like it, or you know, they want to be broke, or they don't want to, you know, talk about money, or they don't want to be capitalist. They don't want to talk about black millionaires, or you know, that's some capitalist stuff. But Dr. Kimbrough, he didn't say, well, let me distinguish. I'm a professor, or let me clarify how I'm different. You know, he just said, well, yeah, I mean, you know, that he said that would be great. That would be great. He didn't call Dr. Claude Anderson's name. He just said that would be great. You know, well, I'm working on my 6th book now, but you know, and that was all there was to it. There wasn't no need to say, well, allow me to clarify that I authored Think and Grow Rich, and I think that Think and Grow Rich is a must-read book, or you know, or you know, or I've written 5 books. So, you know, sometimes people can get in their feelings, and this is where, you know, we have to know, you know, we have to put in the work to make these claims. You know, we have to seriously put in the work to claim, you know, and try to critique other individuals. And I may necessarily have certain particular critiques, like for instance, hell, Keidi Awadu and Dr. Claude and a few other people, I'm like, you know, none of y'all have trained and studied, you know, the work of Houghton Bugs, right? Yeah, and I've worked with Houghton Bugs the past 3 years, right? Got tremendous amount of knowledge from him, but no, he doesn't put a RBG flag on him. You know, he doesn't talk about the superfoods and he hasn't been to Africa, man, or he hasn't been to Africa more than me. You know, so this is where, you know, how some people, you know, tend to act. And I'm just like, Keidi, if you are the Prince of Pan-Africanism Part 2, you know, where's your industries? Even, hell, the previous CEO of the Mata Network, Brother Charles Johnson, he was building, you know, an infrastructure there, you know, with wireless communications at one time. So I'm like, you know, build an industry, not just some shea butter, you know, bringing back some shea butter and some herbs, you know. I mean, build some industries, you know, build some major, get this land that you're talking about in Africa and build a Kujichagulia village. Don't just visit the South, you know, what is it? And I need to go there. The village in South Carolina. Build a community, right? So people can see, you know, you're getting a little older, you know, and if you feel that confident to try to clarify your position and to make people think that you're the Pan-Africanist, and Dr. Claud Anderson is not, because I don't know, maybe you feel that occupying your mind with all the intimate details of Africa. Yeah, and I agree with a lot of the things. You know, I'm not like a closed-minded person, but I'm just more looking at who's going to implement something. You know, who's going to implement, you know, their strategy right now. What's practical? Not, oh, I'm going to fly over 20 miles and I'm going to talk to some people. Like, man, you've been talking for 20, 30 years. Like, really? So I'm just like, all right, now you're back to selling books. You know, I mean, and that's fine if that's what you want to hype up and say, all right, yeah, we need to build these villages. But I heard even I've been down in Richmond, Virginia. It should have been closer to the urban environment, you know, down in Druryville, you know. So I'm just like, you ain't living like that. Baba Khalifa took a chance. You know, he took a chance to get the land out there. So I don't want to sound like I'm being particularly hostile, but, you know, or, you know, that I got a, you know, problem per se. But, you know, I feel that I'm the only person that has the unique qualifications and skills to articulate, because I was there for Dr. Claude Anderson. I didn't see, you know, Keidi Awadu, you know, anywhere showing up, being supportive. You know, just want somebody to come in on your radio show so you can sell, you know, a couple of their DVDs or a couple of their audio, you know, products. And yeah, I mean, that's a good thing, you know. That's a good thing, you know. But you need to show up, Keidi. You need to show up when it's time to show up. You needed to show up in Detroit some years ago. You should have got the plan from the city council that I came and gave my copy to a Negro in Baltimore. They didn't do anything with it, Richard Rowe, and didn't do nothing with it. I gave, man, I mean, and this is why, you know, I had to grow up. I had to realize that some of these brothers with these alphabets behind their names, you know, they just gonna be professional Negroes. They just gonna be professional job holders, psychologists, sociologists. They just gonna sit and talk and theorize and be left-leaning liberals and intellectuals. They're not gonna build anything. They're not gonna, you know, create any substantial institutions, although they talk about institutions. They're not going to show up at these different conferences and network with people, right? So, you know, they're not going to build these bridges like what Dr. Frazier talked about, connecting the dots. And it's good that Keidi Awadu finally for the first time came to the Power Networking Conference, where yes, Keidi, there's certainly someone worth several tens of millions of dollars there, and had, according to a CNN report, had a valuation of $1 billion. So not everybody is a scrub just because people didn't come and bow down to you. So again, I just felt the need to get that out. Hitting on in, had a rough day. Need to get me a soak in. Yes, do soak, and do take care of your hands and take care of your feet, brothers. Indeed, our women appreciate that. Be a healthy, holistic brother like the Success Scholar. Do your best. You don't have to live in the jungle, you know. You don't have to live in the jungle and eat, you know, what the little weirdo nature boy, avocados and potatoes every day. You mix it up a little bit. Your plate should look like a rainbow, not the rainbow what these political people are pushing, but yes, have your plate look like a rainbow. So I'm out, y'all. Hitting on in. Got to get my relaxation in. Holla at the Success Scholar. Again, tune in this Monday, 8 to 9 p.m. elifemedia.net. I'll have live Dr. Dennis Kimbrough on live with me. Ustream app on your phone, or go to elifemedia.net, located in Capitol Heights, Maryland, at Everlasting Life. So holla at the Success Scholar. I am out. Peace.